Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Global Office Hours. I'm Alex Tassetti. I'm a software engineer here at VTEX, and I'm going to be your host today. So before we start with our usual agenda, I'd like to make an announcement that we will be changing the frequency of this office hours to be every 2 weeks instead of it being monthly. So from today, we'll be doing it every couple of weeks. So we'll start as usual with the announcements related to that platform. So these are items in our change log that are worth mentioning more widely. And then for the first couple of announcements, I'll invite Pedro to join us. Pedro, are you with us?
Hi, Alex. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Pedro?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
All right. Yeah, take it away.
So the first announcement I wanted to talk about is the custom OAuth easy implementation. So OAuth is a protocol that allows service providers such as VTEX to authenticate users through third-party identity providers such as Google and Facebook. As you see, I cited them in the first paragraph of this announcement because we already have Google and Facebook using implementation, as you can see here in the admin. You just set it up. This is the implementations like this for a while now. But if you wanted to use a different custom OAuth identity provider, you had to open a ticket and leave lots of information, etc. Now there's a new interface. So you see in the account settings authentication, you can go to My Custom OAuth and set up your integration step by step. So it's really easy. Here in the admin and also in the announcement, there's a link to the full documentation that goes into detail about the protocol and also step-by-step implementation. So it's real easy. We hope this will make your life better. And also for the second announcement, I wanted to talk to back office integration guide updates. So we have a back office integration guide for some time now, and it's actually contains several tutorials that help you integrate your VTEX store with ERPs, WMSs, and softwares, among different kind of softwares that many stores, probably all stores, use in their day-to-day. So for a couple of months now, we have been making some adjustments, and maybe you visited it before and didn't find a particular information, or maybe there are some new processes that we have documented now, and so you feel free to check it out. We have the most relevant ones that I want to highlight are the back office integration overview, and also the changes to catalog integration, importing products, and two new guides, which we understand that were important to a lot of clients, which are import customer data and change order guides. So I guess that's it, Alex.
All right. Thank you very much, Pedro, for your announcements. Moving
Thank
on.
you. Bye.
All right. See you later. Okay. Moving on, we'll invite Mariana to talk about e-commerce events triggering in Google Analytics.
Hi,
Mariana, welcome.
Alex.
How
Thank
are you
you.
doing?
Thank you so much. I'm great. What about you?
Yes, pretty good. Well, take it away.
That's great. Okay, thank you. So this is an announcement for VTEX Google Tag Manager app users. So now the e-commerce variable is fixed, and this fix prevents multiple e-commerce events triggering in Google Analytics several times. So before, for those users of the VTEX Google Tag Manager app, they had the same e-commerce event triggering several times to Google Analytics, and this was resulting a bigger financial cost for them. This is because this large number of events triggering to Google Analytics would exceed the monthly free visits of 10 million. So now, with this fix, and by the way, it's a Google recommendation, the e-commerce variable passes the value new before pushing the e-commerce event to the data layer. So with this fix, this will prevent these events triggering multiple times to Google Analytics and will not exceed the monthly hits of 10 million visits. And for those users, the VTEX Google Tag Manager users, what should you do? Nothing. So it's already implemented and you don't need to do any implementation, and you're probably already benefiting from it. So that's it, Terzat.
Oh, that's very good. Yeah, so it's
Yes.
something that's already being rolled out to everyone, and they can just take advantage of it.
Yes, sure. So you don't need to do nothing. Just enjoy this new fix for the e-commerce event.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Mariana, for your announcement.
Thank you, Alex. Bye bye.
Bye. See you later. All right, moving on, we'll invite Julia to talk about the new manual price feature for subscriptions V3. Welcome, Julia.
Hi Alex, hi everyone. So I'm here to share some news for stores using the subscription system version 3. So the subscription system is VTEX's solution to make recurrent sales possible. So if a customer wants to, for example, buy dog food every month, they can just create a subscription and these recurrent orders will be generated automatically in the future, right? The new feature is that now stores can apply manual prices in items that are part of subscription plans. So this can be a good strategy to keep the prices competitive and retain customers for a longer time, because it is possible to maintain the same price for future subscription orders, even if the price changes for regular orders in your store. So to enable this feature, you need to use the subscription API v3. There's a new endpoint and new parameters for this to be possible. There are more details in these release notes that you see now. And it's also worth checking out our documentation called Enabling Manual Prices for Subscriptions on Developer Portal to learn more about these initial configurations and everything that's necessary to start using this feature. So that's it. I hope this is really useful for everyone.
Oh, that's cool. So just to make sure I understood and maybe help others understand better. So does this mean it allows stores to set a price that would be different from, let's say, the price you would find going to the store if you sign up for a subscription or some like let's say like the dog food, as you mentioned.
Yeah, exactly. So, for example, if you create a subscription in May, paying, I don't know, $5 for dog food, uh, the store can keep this price even if the price for dog food changes for other customers
Ah,
later
okay.
on.
So it makes it more appealing to have a subscription, for example, because the price would be lower.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's very nice. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much, Julia, for your announcement. We'll see you next
Thank
time.
you. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye. Thank you. For the next two announcements, we have Enrique. So we'll invite him and then he'll do both of them back to back. Welcome, Enrique.
Oh, hi Alex. Hello everyone. Thanks for having me. Today I'm here to present two announcements that are first about our payment provider protocol API. So this API it's for payment integrations where payment providers will have to implement their um, integration solutions with this API, and VTEX dictates how this API uh, must be built. And then our gateway will call the endpoints of this API to make the payments occur in all the operations involved. So the changes that we have here are just changes in the documentation of the of the APIs to better describe how it works. So no changes were made in how the API actually works. First here, there's just a small change in the payment method field description. So if we go here to the create payment endpoint in our payment provider protocol API, we'll have the payment method field.
Sorry, Nicky, to interrupt. Would you mind zooming in a little bit more so
sure,
that
sure.
it's easy to see? Cheers.
Is it better now or?
Oh yeah, much better. Thank you.
Okay. So we have the payment method field. That's the field that is responsible to choose which payment method will be used for that specific payment. And we have improved the description and added a reference here to those two endpoints. That's the list payment methods and the list payment provider manifest endpoints. That's from those two endpoints, you can check from the integration which are the payment methods that are available, and then you have to choose one of them and insert here on this payment method field to choose what the payment method that will be actually used for that specific payment. So we have this improved description here. And second, we have many other changes also in the payment provider protocol API. And there are 6 endpoints that were suffered changes here in their documentation. First, also in the create payment endpoint, like we have removed some requirements. For instance, in the installments interest rate, installments value, and the IP address. For instance, in the installments interest rate, you will only have to use those fields if you use installments. If you don't have installments for your payment, you don't have to use it. The card parameter, we also did not have a description. We added a description on how that field works in the request body. Also, the document field of the card was properly located inside the expiration of the card. So now it's inside of card. That's the document that will have like the number of or the code of the card holder. We also have added the description in those 4 fields: is corporate name, trade name, and the corporate document. In the buyer of the mini card, we removed the requirement of the complement field from the shipping address and the billing address of the mini card. So those addresses have many fields like the street, neighborhood, city, but the complement is not a required field. So we changed that in the documentation. Also removed the requirement of category ID and seller ID from the items of the mini cart. The merchant settings from the mini cart was incorrectly described as an object when it's actually an array of objects, because you can have many settings to configure to make this configuration. So that needs to be an array. And we also have added response examples for redirect and callback cases for when you create a payment. So if you go here to the create payment and you check the response examples, we have many examples here, and we have added an example for the redirect case. That's when you make a payment and it opens like a new tab or a new window, and the buyer will have to complete the purchase, the payment step in that other window, interacting with an external solution, and then so the buyer will be redirected to that, and then once he finishes, he will get back to the store to finish the purchase. And then the callback, that's for synchronous payments. That is when you try to make a payment, but the result of the payment is not defined immediately. So you will have the final response only later from a callback. And you have this example of callback here. The other changes were in the get list parameter provider manifest endpoint. So we have improved descriptions of two fields. First, the allow split and the auto settle, the allow split and the auto settle delay, where we included descriptions for those articles that better explains how those fields work. So if you want to make payments with split, we have this reference here, the split payouts on the payment provider protocol article. And if you want to configure an auto settle delay, you can check the custom auto capture feature article to understand how it works. And also added requirement of the minimum and maximum field for the time of the delay that you have to configure. And also in the payment provider protocol API, we have this change on those 4 endpoints. That's the settle payment, cancel payment, refund payment, and inbound request. That we added the merchant settings parameter that was not documented. So that's that field that you have multiple settings telling how the payment is configured. And to finish, we have improved the redirect section in the purchase flows article. So I talked about that redirect flow. So we have the purchase flows article here that tells about all the purchase flows that are available in VTEX, and one of those flows is the redirect. So we improved the documentation here to include this sequence diagram showing the steps, and also this list telling what happens in each of the steps, and included a reference to the endpoints that are called when that flow is happening in a payment. And that's it. Those are the updates that we have in the documentation.
All right, yeah, good to see lots of documentation improvements there. Thanks a lot for your announcement, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and then finally, for the final announcement, we'll invite Karen to talk about new reviews and ratings API.
Hi, Alex. Thanks for having me. Hi, everyone. Now we have new documentation for reviews and rating API. This is an app for VTEX.io that manage reviews and ratings for shoppers for your store's product. Now we have, you can also manage, before you can manage only by the app, now you can manage it and by API too. So we have here the documentation for the VTEX.io app, so you can see here. And we also have the documentation for the API, so you can only check the product's rating for now, but in review section you can get review by ID, you can update, create, delete a review, you can create or delete multiple reviews, and you can also get a list of reviews by the product. So we have here the list of endpoints, and I think this will help everyone to manage their reviews better by API. That's it.
Perfect. So just to make sure I understood, if they want to access their API, they just need to have that app installed, the app you mentioned before.
Yes.
All right, perfect. Okay, thanks a lot, Karen, for your announcement.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so we're going to move on to the next section, but before we do so, just a reminder that if you want to check out the other changes that we haven't mentioned here, make sure to go to our change log for the full list of changes. And if you want more details on these ones, they will be there as well. Okay, moving on, we're going to go to the Ask the Community section. This is where we go through some questions in our community website, and then we answer them in more detail in here to give more context and more information about them. And for the first one, I'll invite Vitor Miranda to join us. Welcome, Vitor.
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Pretty sure this is the first time that I'm actually on the Global Office Hours, so pretty excited.
Oh yes, you're a new face here, but a usual face on other channels. So welcome and take it away.
Awesome, thanks. Okay, so let's go. Okay, so this question was asked from Marinho. We actually tackled this question on the latest Office Hours Brazil, but I gave an answer in Portuguese and I forgot to actually write it. So there you go. Now I have the opportunity to give you a fuller, a more complete answer and in English. So okay, this is a pretty common issue, I guess. A lot of you may face it, but what he was trying to do is okay, I'm trying to import some special, specifically 2 hooks that are exported by the order placed app, right? He's trying to use the use order hook and the use order group hook. And if you actually go to the documentation, you will see that we say that, okay, you can just import it straight from the path that exports the hook. We expect that you will have access to multiple entry points because that's how VTEX.io apps kind of work, right? You have, I actually have the repo here. It's easier to show you. Here, for example, this is the actual repo for VTEX apps order placed, right? And if you go inside the React folder, you can see that we have a bunch of files in the root of the React folder, and this is intentional. If you've been developing React applications on VTEX.io, you probably know that okay, we are placing this on the root of the React folder so that they can become entry points, right? So we have other context here. If we have this file here, it means that you can import it like this, right? Where's the example? Well, I'll just show you in the docs themselves. But you can import it order place / and then the name of the entry point that you're trying to import things from, right? We have an example here. Where is it? Pretty sure it's it. Yeah, it's here. Use order group from VTEX order placed and then / order group context, right? Okay, so this will work inside of VTEX.io. Okay, so if you have a React application that depends on order placed and then you just import it like this, if you literally just copy and code this code and then put it in your app, this is gonna work. It's gonna build fine and everything will look good. Awesome. But then why was Marinho facing issues trying to do exactly the same thing? Why didn't it work? And this is actually due to a bit of inconsistent behavior that we have when we're trying to generate TypeScript types from a certain React app. Okay, so for example, here we have the VTEX apps order placed. Okay, so this is vtex.orderplaced, the app. When you run VTEX setup / typings, you're downloading the TypeScript types that were generated automatically from this repo, from the app. Okay, that's why he says here that oh, in my manifest.json I have vtex.orderplaced 2.x. Fine. And my package from React folder, the package.json inside his React folder has this entry, right? vtex.orderplaced, and then this URL here. This is because you're importing something from, you're getting the type definitions for vtex.orderplaced, not from NPM, but from our, this asset server, okay? Okay, so why is this important? Because these types that you are downloading here were generated automatically. Like we didn't write the types by hand and put it everywhere. So like they were generated automatically, and during this process, we can only have one single entry point for all of your imports on VTEX order placed. Okay, I kind of wrote this here. I hope it makes sense. But the idea is that now, like if you're using the auto-generated types from VTEX.io, you can only have one single entry point and not like multiple entry points. That's why your import for like order placed / something is not gonna work, because like that / something doesn't exist. Like if you, that's exactly what he was saying here. Like, oh, I try to import like / order context, and then TypeScript will also suggest that you look for like that you go for / react and then / order context. Yes, this entry point works, but I mean it's not recommended that you import it like as deep as that. Okay, so anyway, we can only have one single entry point when you're using the types generated automatically. So that import that you saw is not going to work. The correct way to import this, if you're using the auto-generated types, is you will actually need to import the modules themselves and then the hooks that you want. So, for example, in the original import, like from the documentation, you will see this, like vtex.orderplace / order group context, right? You're gonna import the use order hook from vtex.orderplace / order group context. Instead of doing that, what you would do is you will import order group context, like the module itself, from vtex.orderplace. Okay, just like this. Like you're making the import in the index entry point, right? Because we now have only one entry point. Then after you get this, you have access to use order group and use order, okay, from each of the contexts. So it's kind of like one extra step that you have to take. Like instead of importing directly the hook that you want from the module you want, you have to like import the module itself and then get the hook from inside of it. Okay, I know that this is a bit confusing, but this is at the time that we actually implemented the feature that auto generates this TypeScript types. Like we had a limitation that we could only do this with one single entry point. So that's why you have to do this. This is gonna, like, you will see this on like lots of VTEX.io apps. If you've ever used the VTEX.product context app, which I know that a lot of you have used, if you have the types installed for that, you will need to do like exactly the same thing. Like you will not be able to import like the use product hook from vtex.product context. You will need to import product context and then from inside product context access use product. Okay, so yeah, just an extra step there. Meanwhile, we strongly recommend that you keep using the auto-generated types, because, well, that's the only way that you can have like actual TypeScript safety on your code. So please don't move away from that. But there you go.
All right. Yeah. I guess he adds like a couple of lines, and it might be a bit of an annoying thing, but it's not the end of the world. So it sounds like an easy enough solution, and it's good that you've come here to share more context about it. So thanks a lot for it.
Thanks.
All right, cheers. We'll move on to the next one, and then we'll invite Zed to talk about the last interaction in fields in customer data.
Hi, Alex.
Hello, Zed. How are you doing?
Oh, are
yes.
You hearing me? Okay.
Yes, right. I can hear you just fine.
So
yeah, go ahead.
I guess I'm a new face here too. So hi, everyone. So about this question, this is actually quite simple, yet very valid question. The last interaction in field, it's actually a field that exists for all data entities. So any data entity and any change you perform over any of these data entities will generate a UTC time using UTC 0 to update this field. So it's not only the CL entity when using the website to navigate through it, but any kind of other actions such as spreadsheet imports or API usage, or even manually updating the UI. All right, so we can try to demo this here by sharing the screen. Let me use my Postman. Just a second. Okay. All right. So we have an AD entity here. Are you seeing my screen?
Yeah, we can see the screen, but would you mind zooming in a little bit, because I think the
Okay,
font
all right.
size is a bit small.
Yeah, that's can you see it now?
Yeah, I think that's much better. Thank you.
All right. So we have the last interaction in field here, and it's a datetime type. And if you update it, the same document in the AD entity, let's try changing the value here of the field and sending an update. And we can see the address name field will change. All right. And now we have the last interaction in for pretty much now, but in UTC 0. We are currently at UTC -3. So just to give a little bit of context, the question was regarding the updates from the website. So when we have a customer navigating through the website, we have an application named RC, which is request capture, that often updates the CL entity to change with values that are pertinent to the user navigation. So this kind of change also updates the last interaction in, but any other kind of updates this field too. I guess that's it. It's a pretty basic question, but it's very valid. George wants to compliment me.
Yeah. No, thanks for your answers. That was very useful. But just for a little bit more context to folks who are watching, maybe are not familiar with master data. So just a quick recap. Master data is kind of like our database as a service, right? And that's one of the things that we store there. We store customer data in the CL entity. That's kind of like a database. And the AD entity that you showed us was the address, correct?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. It's actually the AD and CL entities. They exist as a database for all accounts. And using master data, you can pretty much create any kind of data storage for various usages. So, but those two are the default ones.
Yeah. So for instance, reviews and ratings that Karen talked to us about, you could probably add your reviews and your ratings and whatever you like just to enrich the customer experience, right? So master data is something that's available to anyone who wants to store data in VTEX, correct?
That's it.
And that field exists in every data entity or just the customer data?
Every data entity. You can fetch it by using the search API, the search entities API, and passing a parameter, which is named fields. And then you filter for this field. So you can check the update of any kind of field. And if you want to check any the whole history of updates in a given document and a field, you can use the versions API, which is an API that lists all the JSON payloads that you've sent to a given document.
Got it. Awesome, Zan. Thanks for participating.
Great
Thank
stuff.
you, George.
Thanks,
Thank you, Alex.
I think George is going to stay on screen because he's going to do the next three, I think, questions. There you go.
Yeah. Thanks,
Take it away.
Alex. I'll go ahead and take this one. So the first one was by Benjamin. He's all the way over in France asking us about GraphQL queries. So what Benjamin was doing, he was trying to use the VTEX Search GraphQL app. So that's one of the GraphQL APIs. We allow you to just use our search, but using GraphQL. So if you need to search for the products that exist in your store, and you want to use that outside the regular just search box, you can build queries and serve it just as well. So he built a query, and it was pretty much it was pretty much the same as what you would see here in GitHub. So it's open source. You can go through the code and understand how it works. But yeah, search GraphQL is in VTEX apps. And in the README, you can see that there's a query that's pretty similar to what he built, right? So not exactly the same. He's using ID instead of slug. But yeah, you're using the VTEX search GraphQL context to search for products using, something, the ID in this case, and you want to get the name, product reference, brand, and description. So that's pretty useful. You want to get specific info about a specific product. But the problem was he built this query, and he got this, he built it this way, right? So he's passing a variable 9978 as a string to product query. So he expected ID to be 9978, and for that to work, right, for him to be able to get that data. But he was getting a 500 error, so a server error, internal server error, and he didn't really understand why that was. He was able to, however, pass the exact string here in the query, and that worked. So he was like, oh, why can't I pass this variable to product query? Okay, so in the end, he actually solved this question himself. So that's one of the best use cases of community. People come ask questions and they share back the knowledge. They figure it out if they had to debug it themselves. And Benjamin did a great job investigating. In the end, he found out that ID, the field he was trying to use, isn't actually a string, but it's a specific data type. It's ID, which was being basically cast when he added the constant value. So while he wrote one here, that actually automatically got casted to the right type. So that's why he didn't have an issue. But when passing ID as a string and not explicitly doing that, that's not the case. So just by adding this information here, what type he wanted to transfer to, that helped a lot. And that's basically it for this first question. Now, so thanks, Benjamin, for asking and answering your own question. We also have a second issue that was solved like that, and I would like to share with you guys. So it's error TST2688 cannot find type definition file for Node. So Alejandro is speaking all the way from Colombia. Thanks for your question. He shared like, hey, I'm getting this error. I just ran VTEX link. What's going on? I should be able to use Node, right? In the VTEX IO CLI. So he actually came back later to this same question, and he said, hey, I found the solution. Here are the steps to fix it. So he ran VTEX setup, the same command that Vitor Miranda shared earlier. He deleted the node modules folder. He went to the React folder. He ran yarn add types node save dev, etc., etc. And this is how he solved it. And I just went ahead and Googled it because it's more of a node issue rather than a VTEX IO or store framework issue. And I found this Stack Overflow answer that's pretty similar. So it looks like that might happen with Angular or anything else. This solves it because maybe you just need to install the typings and it didn't really come through the same way. So yeah, very nice to be able to have this repository of questions and answers so people don't have to suffer again, right? Thanks, Alejandro, for asking and sharing the answer. And now for the last question, and I'll go back to Alex. Mariana Marquez, she's speaking to us from Argentina. She's always sending great questions our way. And this time she's working on a template for a store framework store. She has it all working in a store framework. She had her code running in store framework in a VTEX IO workspace, development workspace, and it works well. but just some pages. So a few of the pages were according to what she had coded, and other pages weren't. So she was like, what's going on? Do I need to configure anything on your side for that to happen? Everything is linked. So yeah, for instance, the home page is working, but the category page for shoes, calzados, isn't working. So how come that happened? So it's actually a pretty simple situation. She got help back then. Amarilis had the same issue, but she got help from VTEX support, thankfully. But yeah, I went, I dove deep into this question and tried to answer it. And the real reason why that might happen is that you might have more than a theme installed in your store or in your workspace. And it might be confusing to our render engine to understand which theme should we base it on. So the easy fix is for you to uninstall all other themes other than the one that you're linking or that you have installed in your development workspace. So if you're linking, you need to unlink, but usually you have something installed like a previous theme. So you have to do a VTEX uninstall. Otherwise, you can go through every single page in the store management CMS pages. So like this part, if you navigate to pages, you'll see a bunch of pages listed here. And these are all the pages that are being rendered by Store Framework. When you click on the pencil icon, this is what you see. So you get some information about the page, so you can change the page name. It'll give you some more information about how that page is actually built. So for instance, you might have product-id-slug for your product-p. Perhaps if you want a different route, that's where that will appear. But see how in templates you have a drop down and you can choose between cosmetic challenge in the case of my test store or VTEX store, and that changes kind of it's one theme or the other. The hard part of selecting that is that if you have multiple pages, you have to do that for every single page. So it's kind of a cumbersome task, but you can do it. It's no problem. So just a general direction of what was going on and how to fix it. That's actually pretty common, by the way. I've been through that problem when I first started developing in Store Framework. So thanks for sharing that question and for allowing us to have a public answer to it, Mariana. So yeah, that's it for today. Thanks, Alex.
Thank you very much, George, for your participation here again. All right. So next section would be before we do next section, I always forget about this, but if you want your question featured in this section, make sure to add the office hours tag to the question, and we'll make sure we answer it here live and give it more context and information. So make sure to add the tag, and then we'll keep an eye on it and feature it here. Right, and then the next section would be the demo time. And then sadly today we don't have any demos planned, but if you want to give a demo here, make sure to go and check out our form, fill in the form, and then we'll get in touch with you to arrange something. It doesn't have to be a live demo. If you want to pre-record it, that's absolutely fine. Anything that's using our development platform, so VTEX.io or APIs or anything is a good candidate for this. So make sure to fill in the form if you have an idea of a demo to present here. And that is it. That takes us to the end of today's office hours. As I mentioned, we'll be doing this twice a month, so every couple of weeks now. So in a couple of weeks' time, we'll see you again. Not next month, in, I guess, next 2 weeks, whatever. Yeah, see you in a couple of weeks. Bye-bye.